Oh, there you go. So a little bit different from the last time you were here, right?
Yeah. It's let's hope it goes different than last time I was here too. Yeah, the process is more reformed now. You know, it's a lot smoother sailing. Yeah, it's been fun, man. I've only been here a couple days, but it's been good.
Yeah, are you excited to be back in front of the fans?
Man, I couldn't be more excited. That's what I'm most excited about. I don't carry a lot of nervous energy or anxiety or anything like that leading into fights, especially the night of the fight. So I've always relied on the crowd to really give me that energy and kind of, I don't know, just, I guess, pump that energy into me. You know, I feed off of it. So I'm really excited to have that back.
And what do you like about this matchup with Jimmy? I know he was calling for this one, right?
Yeah, he's been asking for this one for a long time. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. It wasn't that I was unwilling. It just, I think, our way our schedules were. You know, I'm excited for it. I like his style. I like his game. I like how he approaches it. I like, you know, he wants to strike and grapple and wrestle, and he's willing to do it all. So, I think it's good for my career. You know, I think the knock on me kind of coming up to the title fight was that I was fighting the older guys, and although they were Hall of Famers or, excuse me, or, you know, former champions, I think that the knock was that they were older guys. So, I fight Devin Clark, who's a young up-and-comer, thinking like, oh, okay, so here's a young guy. You know, I beat him, and then people, well, he's not that good. Like you can't make everyone happy, but I think a win over Jimmy Crute, I think just legitimizes that I'm as good as I say I am.
Yeah, did that last win over Devin, do a lot for you? I mean, I know there was a lot of talk after the back-to-back losses and stuff, and that just helped you get back to where you needed to be mentally?
Yeah, I felt, I'd never really wavered too much, man. I really hadn't. Like, I was obviously down and was having some of my own personal, like, I don't know, mental and emotional problems that I think really showed themselves in my fighting career. I think I was just having a lot of problems personally, so I was able to work on those. I did the personal work, I did the mental work, and spent a lot of time with my therapist and really just working out my own issues. And I think that it showed in the Devin Clark fight. I think that it showed I kind of cleared up all that bullshit and was able to go into a fight completely clear-minded and happy.
And if you win this one, I mean, do you kind of want to go back to fighting, top-ranked contenders and stuff in there? If you kind of prove yourself back-to-back against, as you said, these younger guys?
Yeah, and I've always respected the game, so I understand that you're either in two positions in this sport. You're either climbing or you're defending. On my way to the title, I was climbing my way to the top and always looking ahead of me. You drop a couple fights and you stub your toe a little bit. You got to kind of defend your spot a little bit. I know that Dana respects that. I know that the UFC respects that I was willing to fight a guy like Devin Clark with absolutely nothing to gain and everything to lose. And here I am doing it again. And I'm doing that to show that I don't give a shit who you put in front of me. I'm going to defend my position, and then after this, we can get back to climbing.
Anthony right here. When Jimmy Crute made his pro debut, I think you had already 30-plus MMA fights under your belt. So how far back did Jimmy Crute get on your radar? Or can you remember like a performance you saw where like, I'm probably going to have to fight that guy at some point?
Was it the last fight he knocked that guy out with like a nasty overhand?
Yeah.
That was the first time I'd ever seen him fight. Like I knew who he was. Like I knew his name. But that was the first time I'd ever watched him fight.
And speaking of that performance, like it was
And
obviously.
to be honest, I haven't watched him since.
that was gonna be my next question. So
I haven't seen him fight one time.
No, you don't watch tape on the guy?
Nah.
Not related to this fight, but what do you think of the Jan Glover title fight coming up at the end of this year?
Man, if there's ever like a good thing that just needs to happen in this sport, I think that those two guys fighting is one of those things. Glover did beat the shit out of me, but it doesn't mean that I can't respect him. You know what I mean? I respect his journey a lot. And at 41 years old, to just all of a sudden turn it around and just wind back the clock, it's been incredible to watch. If I was going to lose like that to someone, I'm glad that it was Glover Teixeira. I'm glad that he's getting the title shot. I'm glad that he didn't take a fight in the meantime, waiting on Jan. I'm glad that Jan decided to come back earlier than he wanted to. I think the only thing that would be better is the only thing that would make this any better would be if Glover wins. And that's not because I want Jan to lose. Look at like what a world we live in where Glover Teixeira and Jan Blachowicz could end their careers as world champions. Like, that's incredible. That's incredible. I think it's just a really good it's a feel-good story, you know, and so I'm happy that that's happening.
And what do you make of Jan as champ right now? He's only
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, that guy started his UFC career like 1-4 or 1-5 or 2-4, something like that. You know, on the verge of being cut from the UFC, and then moves on to not only win the world title and then do it, you know, over with crazy knockouts, you know what I mean? And then taking the knockout loss to Thiago Santos and then battling back to knock out Corey Anderson, Luke Rockhold, and Dominic Reyes back to back to back. That shit's crazy to me. It's crazier to me, I think, specifically because I'm in the division. So I know how hard it would be to get over on Luke, Corey Anderson, and Dominic Reyes, and then beat Izzy. If I was that dude, I'd retire right now and just call it a day after that.
And you don't have to answer this, but Damon Martin texted me to ask you if you're a fan of Jake Paul yet.
God damn it, Damon. No, I'm not a huge fan of Jake Paul. That's for sure.
Hey, Anthony, over here in the back.
Gotcha.
You've done work, obviously, for ESPN as an analyst. They're doing a lot of fun stuff at the Apex and now on the road with the weigh-in shows and the games and all that.
Yeah.
If you end up at the pay-per-view pre-show for the weigh-ins, how do you think you'll do with the games, the spelling bee, the geography tests, all that stuff they're doing?
Listen, I think I do really good on the spelling tests. The geography, not so much. If it's not Nebraska, I probably don't know where it's at. So I'm really looking forward to working those pay-per-view pre-shows. And I'm excited to give DC some shit. You know, he kind of just bullies everyone around a little bit. No one except for Chiesa really comes at him. And so I'm excited to flip DC some shit. So I think they were talking, I don't know. I got one coming up, though. I'm not sure which one it is, but I got one coming up.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony over here. You talking about you're not a fan of Jake Paul, but do you think he gives insight on how to make money in this combat sports game? Because 1.3 billion buys don't lie.
Listen, my anyone that's followed my career knows kind of how I operate, and I don't really. Is he generating money? For sure, but he's not bringing our pay scale up at all. He's paying himself, and that's really it. And whatever bum he drags in the fight. I'm really about respect, man. Like the things that you can say what you want about Ben Askren and his skills and his abilities, but that dude has won multiple world titles in multiple different organizations. He was an Olympic level wrestler. He was a multiple time national champion wrestler. All these people, all these fighters that are walking around here today, if Ben Askren walked in this room, every single fucking one of those guys would get out of the way and let him walk through. So like the way that Jake Paul talked to him, I had really, really big problems with when he was saying that Ben wasn't able to talk about fighting. Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. As far as the business in the game, and the way that he's generating interest and like the financial part of it and the marketing part of it, Jake Paul's doing a phenomenal job. I don't expect him to fight world champion boxers or even UFC top 5 or top 10 ranked guys who can strike. I don't expect him to be able to do that because he just hasn't been in the game long enough, and that's not his fault. I think he's approaching it the right way. I think he takes it very serious. I think he trains really hard. I think that he really puts the work in. It's the same reason I stuck up for CM Punk the whole time. I always think everyone has the right to. I think everyone has the right to get punched in the face for money if that's what they want to do. I don't like the disrespect of guys in the game that deserve to be respected.
And my final question, do you think we'll see more fights like that when people going for the money?
I hope so. I do, man. I hope so. I hope that more guys get those kind of opportunities. I like the crossover stuff. I think some people think it's kind of circus show, but I think it generates interest. I think the fans like it. I tuned in. I paid for it. I like that kind of stuff.
Anthony, over here. Doing the analyst work that you've been doing recently, do you feel like that's improved yourself as a fighter at all by being able to study people a little bit more than maybe you normally would?
Yeah. I think it's helped my mental preparation a lot. As fighters, we don't typically watch two guys that are completely unattached to us. Like, if I'm watching a guy at light heavyweight fight, I'm always thinking, how would I fight that guy? What could I do there? But when you're watching like, I don't know, Benavidez versus Figueiredo, right?
Yeah.
Neither one of those guys are anywhere close to me. I have nothing to do with those guys as far as my career goes, and it's not even what I would do with Benavidez or what I would do with Figueiredo. It's if I was Joseph Benavidez, how would I fight Figueiredo? And looking at it completely separated from that is really, it's kind of made me a bigger fan of the sport, because I guess I didn't realize how good some of these guys are, and just how smart they are, and how they approach the game. And then a lot of the younger guys, it's been really fun to watch some of the guys coming off the Contender Series, and the first 3 fights of the night that no one seems to give a shit about. I've been having a lot of fun trying to give those guys as much love as I can, because sometimes I don't think they get it.
Yeah, and a lot of fighters have gotten into doing commentary too. Is that something you'd ever be interested in doing?
Yeah. It's a lot more work than working the desk. And I think they're pretty set on the commentary guys right now. I think once we start traveling again, like doing international shows, I think that's when I may have an opportunity. But as far as all the shows stateside, I think that there's plenty of guys. You got Bisping, Felder, DC, Dominic Cruz, and then the guys that are doing the play-by-play. So I absolutely don't deserve an opportunity with those guys kind of reigning over the commentary stuff. That's their spot. But I think when we start traveling internationally, I'll start pushing for those opportunities more.
And last thing for me, as for the fight itself, do you feel like pressure relief at all when you're on such a big card like this, and maybe the focus isn't on you as much, like spotlight-wise?
Yeah, I had 7 straight main events, and 2 of them weren't supposed to be main events, but last second it ended up being that way. So it's nice to kind of just sit in the back, and I guess there's not a whole lot of focus on me. Like and deservingly so. Like the 3 title fights absolutely deserve the attention they're getting. So it's nice to just let them kind of take it and deal with it.
Yeah. Thanks, Anthony. Good luck.
Thank you.
Who you got in the Who you got in the main event? Masvidal and Usman. You don't have to give a prediction, but what do you make of the fight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more exciting than the last one. I like how Usman seemed to, in his last fight at least, I think he took on a better, well-rounded, more dangerous guy in Gilbert Burns. Not saying that Gilbert Burns is better than Masvidal. I think that he just brings more problems to the table. Like Masvidal, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Like that dude is a savage on his feet, but you don't got to worry about that dude hitting blast doubles and passing your guard and choking you. You know what I mean? So, and to see Usman really go at him and attack him and try to take him out, I thought that was a really cool evolution in his game. And if that guy shows up, I think it's going to be a really interesting night. I think that Masvidal is going to have more gas this time and not such a hard weight cut, and I think he's going to really push the pace. So I expect a really high-paced fight.
Anthony, down here in the front, you've been fighting in mixed martial arts for 13 years now. What do you think that says?
I had 2 years as an amateur too. Before that, it's crazy, right?
So what do you think about that? What do you think says? Sorry. What do you think that says about your longevity in the sport?
Well, I think some of it I just got lucky. I just haven't had too many real crazy injuries. Contrary to a lot of people's belief, I think that I haven't taken a significant amount of damage for the amount of time that I've been in the sport. I do a good job of really taking care of myself, but I think I've kind of had 2 careers. Like, you can look at all the losses and kind of use those against me, but if you really look back, I think in my last 25 fights, I'm like 20-4 or 21-4 or something like that. Like, a lot of those were really early, so I really just kind of discredit the first part of my career and just really pay attention to the last half.
And Jimmy Cruz are in this division. However, you've had more than 3 times as many fights as him. Do you think your experience will be key to victory in this fight?
Yeah, I do. I think that that's probably one of the bigger pieces. Like, I mean, you can match us up and play the X's and O's and look at it on paper, but I've said this before, that is Jimmy Crute going to take me somewhere in the octagon that I've never been before? Is he going to show me something that I've never seen? Is he going to hit me hard and he's going to rattle me? Is he going to hit me harder than Hector Lombard hit me? Is he going to be more technical and harder to get to than John Jones? Is he, I just don't. I mean, is he going to be a better grappler than Roger Gracie? Like, I don't think so. I don't foresee anywhere that he's going to be different than any. Like, I fought probably 10 Jimmy Crutes before, like 10 guys probably exactly like him. But has anyone taken Jimmy Crute to those dark, dark places in the octagon? I don't think so. And that's not his fault. He just hasn't had the opportunity yet. He just hasn't been in the game long enough to be drug into deep water and have someone like me hanging all over his neck and pushing him and not giving a shit about what he gets hit with and walking him down. And Jimmy Crute's probably never fought anyone that's not afraid of him at this point, which again, it's not necessarily his fault. He's just, you can only gain that stuff with experience, and he just doesn't have it yet.
Thanks, Anthony.
That button's kicking your ass. That's all right, man.
Anthony, one more for you. How many people were messaging you and reminding you about the John Jones fight when Aljamain Sterling won the belt the way he did?
How did I go viral and I didn't do anything? It was crazy. It's one of those things that aged really well. And unfortunately for Aljo, I get thrown in his face daily, still, to this day. I bet it's happened 5 times today. Anytime Aljo posts, I just get spammed with tags because people are just roasting him, which kind of sucks for Aljo because I think he kind of got, initially I think he got, the bad end of that. I do think that the stuff currently is his fault. He's kind of bringing that on himself. I don't know if he decided to turn heel or what's going on, but yeah, it was nuts for me, man. I couldn't believe how many people just went back. What's crazy to me is, at the time, those same people were telling me how stupid I was for not taking the title and how that was my opportunity to make millions of dollars and get the rematch with John Jones as the champion and get the pay-per-view points. And those same people are now giving me credit for not doing it once someone actually does it. So it's so crazy to me how some fighters, they kind of just pay attention to the fans and some of the media and kind of make their decisions off of that. And I've just never been like that. I've just kind of lived my life the way I want to. So this is one of those situations though where, like, at the time it was really unpopular but it's aged very well for me.